Alrighty, y'all. Welcome back to the live stream here on the channel. Hopefully, everybody's having a fantastic day so far. I'm gonna. Oh, I don't really want to do that. I don't know if that's gonna dismiss the poll or not. But anyways, I hope you guys are having a great day. Welcome, Dave, Storm, Dakota, Caleb, Chip, as well as Andrea, Carson, and everyone else who is tuning in may not be chatting. Glad to have you guys here as well. We're going to be talking about the tropics as well as severe weather today, so let's go ahead and dive right on into it. We'll switch to our main scene here. Hopefully I have everything set up. I actually didn't check. I mean, it looks good enough to me. June 26th, that's the correct date. So here's your look across the nation as of now. A bit more of a wider look here. We have some severe weather ongoing in the northern panhandle of Texas, some severe storms ongoing in Mississippi, Georgia, Louisiana, some more severe storms back up in the northeastern portion of the U.S., and even some severe storms back up towards, I believe that is Idaho up there, southern Idaho in that severe thunderstorm watch. So a few different areas to keep an eye on today for the potential of severe weather. The most organized severe weather is anticipated later tonight after 8 o'clock Eastern time in this vicinity here, where we may have damaging winds upwards of potentially 75 to 80 miles per hour. So we'll be keeping an eye on that area. I probably won't be doing much coverage for this severe threat. If it's really needed, I guess I could, but this is going to be more of a briefing on the severe weather threat, and then we're going to dive in deeper, a lot deeper in on the hurricane season, as well as the hurricane potential that we have. We just got Invest 95L that is formed well off to the east of the Lesser Antilles, and the new intensity guidance has it becoming anywhere from a Cat 2 to potentially pushing Category 4 status. I don't believe that we're going to see a Cat 4 out of this. Those intensity guidance are probably going to take it into the Gulf. So there's a few different tracks that we'll be looking at. A lot of ensemble members that we'll take a look at. A lot of uncertainty as well on exactly where that thing's going to track. But yeah, let's go ahead and once again, I'll just talk about the severe weather real quick. Most of our severe weather currently is focused up here in Pennsylvania. We have about 27 severe thunderstorm warnings in effect in the U.S. Only 2 of those are significant currently. One of those is going to be out here north of Amarillo, Texas, for the potential of, let me go ahead and look at the list here. Potential of 1.5-inch hail and 70-mile-an-hour winds up here north of Amarillo, Texas. And then the other one's going to be out here in Idaho for the potential of 1.75-inch hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds out there for the next 36 minutes. So we'll keep an eye on both of those storms. Again, really organized severe weather is not anticipated today. Just a lot of loosely scattered severe thunderstorms is what we're looking at. The main focus for severe weather today should really be out in this area. We have a slight risk for severe weather, level 2 out of 5. We do have a tornado threat in place today. A hail threat is also present, but not that large. So the main risk is damaging winds with the potential of a spin-up tornado or two and maybe even some isolated small hail. And then after that, I'm going to bring y'all over to this radar site so that way I can show you guys the outlook. Here's tomorrow's outlook. We actually got an upgrade to a very large level 3 out of 5 for severe weather. I don't really know what completely warranted them to have that high of confidence. I don't see that significant of severe weather for tomorrow yet. So we'll see how this materializes day one. And I don't know if I'll be able to cover tomorrow that much. So just make sure you have multiple ways to receive watches and warnings. If I do cover tomorrow, it's going to be more on the later side of things. But that main risk is going to be for damaging winds, possibly exceeding 80 miles per hour in Montana, South Dakota, and North Dakota, as well as the potential for up to 3-inch hail in the exact same area as well. And the tornado risk is very much present. I think our highest tornado risk is going to be further to the south, towards southern South Dakota and into northern Nebraska, where a few storms may be discrete, which might allow them to potentially produce a couple of tornadoes out in that area. So we'll keep a very close eye on that as well. Day 3, we move into a slight risk for severe weather. Level 2 out of 5 out there in Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, and Nebraska, all in that slight risk level 2 out of 5 for severe weather. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as well. Tomorrow looks to be the biggest severe weather event in a little while. I don't think it's going to be as big as yesterday. Yesterday was an unanticipated outbreak. But we'll see. It's just going to depend on the amount of discrete storms we see in North, South Dakota, and Nebraska. That stuff's going to be, we'll have a better forecast tomorrow for that stuff. So we're not going to go over the severe weather too much in this stream. We'll definitely look at some models for that, but I do want to go ahead and dive on into the tropics because that's what I am live for, to talk about the tropical activity with you guys. So we're going to start off with actually the National Hurricane Center. Let me go pull that up really quick, and then I'll slide it over on the main screen for you guys. So here's the National Hurricane Center for, the 7-day outlook. We have one major, potentially major disturbance out there. It's at a 40% chance of development, and this could push borderline major hurricane intensity. There's a lot of uncertainty. So at the moment, I'm saying a tropical storm is possible with this system. But as this goes towards the Caribbean, there's a lot more favorable environment out in this area. As long as this system doesn't impede or, leave any extra wind shear behind, this system should have a really good chance to form into a tropical storm, potential hurricane in the western side of that AOI, eastern portion of the Caribbean there. Currently, their probabilities are at a 10% chance for tropical storm formation in the next 48 hours, 40% chance in the next 7 days. This AOI towards the Yucatan Peninsula, 10% chance in the next 48 hours, 20% chance in the next 7 days. So this shouldn't be much of a fuss. Some isolated flash flooding along the Mexico coastline into the Yucatan Peninsula will be a possibility. I don't think we'll see this form into a tropical depression. So it shouldn't be that much of an issue. Our main issue is going to be this guy right here. And the National Hurricane Center is actually pretty confident in this going into the Caribbean and then becoming potentially a U.S. threat. I've seen some ensembles, what did I just say? Some ensemble models that have this going out to sea, really hitting and clipping the northern side of Lesser Antilles and then moving out to the northeast into the ocean. So that is still a possibility that this just curves out whilst impacting the Lesser Antilles. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on this, but this is our first potentially major system. It's coming off the coast of Africa there. in the main development region, heading in the general direction of the Caribbean, where the environment is going to be quite favorable for tropical development out there. So that is definitely our first real potential for solid U.S. impacts so far this hurricane season. And it could just, like I said, curve out to sea. We could have a random amount of wind shear that helps this system weaken. So it's not set in stone that we see a tropical storm out of this system, but it is a solid chance that we see a tropical storm out of this system here. So I want you guys in the Lesser Antilles, if we manage to have anybody from the Lesser Antilles watching this live stream, you need to have a tropical storm preparations ongoing now. So this goes all the way from the British Virgin Islands, possibly even as far north as Puerto Rico, all the way down towards the Trinidad and Tobago area. You need to have tropical storm preparations ongoing now. That's a very long heads up. The watches aren't out. We don't have any warnings out, so you don't have to prepare. But I highly suggest you prepare because this system does look like it will have at least a chance of being a tropical storm. I don't think it's going to be a hurricane as it hits the Lesser Antilles, unless this thing starts to intensify on the 27th or the 28th. Once we get to the 29th, if it's not like a tropical depression by the 29th, then it's probably going to be closer to a tropical storm once it hits the Lesser Antilles right around the 30th of June into July 1st. So this is our first main system of the season. This is the National Hurricane Center outlook, the official outlook. 10% chance over the next 48 hours and a 40% chance for a tropical development in the next 7 days. Let's go to some of your ensembles. Ignore the ridiculous temperatures in the U.S. currently. We're going to go over to our regions. We're going to go to North America. Actually, we're going to go to the Northern Atlantic. There we go. And we are going to take a look at our GFS, which is our GEFS ensemble members for the next 240 hours here. So the GEFS ensembles, very tight spread here up until the Lesser Antilles. So this is, like I said, it should impact the Lesser Antilles. Unfortunately, there is a small chance, you can see the two other small chances, that this goes into potentially South America, and the other small chance it moves out to sea. And then there's another small chance where it could move up towards the Dominican Republic and then up along the eastern seaboard of the U.S. But currently, the most likely scenario is this tracks through the rest of the Atlantic, the main development region, impacts the Lesser Antilles, moves through the Caribbean, and then probably heads towards near the Yucatan Peninsula, I would say. I don't believe this is going to be much of a Gulf system yet, but I am keeping a very close eye on it. The European ensembles is what's very aggressive here. A very tight spread between the European ensembles here. Some of them even aiming a Category 3, maybe even a 4 hurricane going into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, keep in mind, this is very far out. Anything past this point here should be taken with a grain of salt. So all these ridiculous ensembles, that's where we have the big question mark. That's where it's a big question mark in terms of how quickly this thing will intensify. At the moment, like I said, I think it's going to become a depression, probably close to the 30th, maybe manage to become a tropical storm for the southern Lesser Antilles near the Trinidad and Tobago area. And then again, that's where you hit your question mark as you go in towards the Caribbean. And U.S. impacts, you can see there's a lot of ensembles that take this into the Yucatan and then eventually into Mexico, maybe the southern tip of Texas, some other ensembles that curve it out to sea, and then your most ridiculous ensembles that curve this right into the Gulf of Mexico. And I can only assume that after that, it would just go right into the southern portion of the Gulf states. So definitely want to be keeping a really, really close eye out on this tropical system, as it could quickly become a big issue. So we don't want to let this system sneak up on us. That's why I decided to dedicate a full stream to it. So make sure you guys are very much weather aware if you're in the Lesser Antilles for the potential of a tropical storm. Now we can go ahead and look at our individual model runs here. This is our GFS model. There's your Invest 95L tracking off to the west, going towards the Lesser Antilles. Forms into a depression. This has it on the morning of the 30th. Forms into a depression. It starts to intensify into a tropical storm into the morning of July 1st, and then begins to intensify into the potential of a Category 1 hurricane as we go into the morning of July 2nd, and then begins to weaken throughout portions of the middle Caribbean, and then eventually dissipates well to the southwest of, or rather, well to the southeast of the Yucatan Peninsula. And then the GFS, for some reason, the GFS has another system forming behind this one, and that becomes another tropical storm, potential hurricane in the exact same area. I'm very, very unsure about that one. I have a good feeling it's just the GFS being the GFS model. This is the new GFS model 18Z, and it actually shows this. Look at this. Look at the difference. This is the new model run, a 980 millibar. That is a hurricane. That is a Category 1 hurricane. And then the older model run, a 998. That is a big difference. That's the difference between a mid-tier tropical storm and a Category 1 hurricane. So the newer GFS did uptrend on that a lot. But that is the 18Z GFS, which I typically note and always say that the 18Z and the 00Z, those are going to be a little bit less accurate. Your most accurate are your 12Z and 00Z model runs. So take that still with a grain of salt. But like I said, we could have our first tropical, or not our first tropical storm, but rather our first tropical storm impacting the Lesser Antilles, forming here right around June 30th, maybe even as late as early July. So we want to be, like I said, we want to be watching that very, very closely because it could be a really big deal pretty soon. All right, let's see here. Alrighty. Someone changed their name back. Oh, yeah, Catman got his name changed back. That's good news, finally. About time. So, again, I don't see any direct impact to the U.S. Being likely at the moment. There's multiple different scenarios for this system, and we're almost locking in the potential for a tropical depression or a tropical storm for the southern Lesser Antilles. But after that, like I said, some models have that going around the high pressure. Some models have it sticking further to the south and dissipating well to the southeast of the Yucatan. And then other ensembles have it going through the Caribbean and back up towards the Gulf. And then we had a few that took it into the Yucatan and into southern Mexico as well, or I should say more of northern Mexico. So there's still a lot of possibilities. That uncertainty, again, really begins as we go west of the Lesser Antilles. Once we hit that 7-day mark, that's when the uncertainty really increases a lot. And there's a lot of predictability issues beyond that. I'll show you guys the individual ensemble models. I actually have not gotten a chance to look at this, so this is going to be my reaction to it. I'm yet to see it. So there's your tight spread of a tropical depression, possible tropical storm. They do start to spread out a little bit, but not really that much as we go into July 1st. There's a tropical depression, possible storm impacting the southern Lesser Antilles. And then look at that. Look at the difference between July 1st and then July 2nd. Look at the model spread. You have a lot more spread on the ensembles here, and even a few back out in this area. That might be the second system those ensembles are picking up on. But a lot more spread as we go into July 2nd. And that spread just continues to worsen as we go into July 3rd and then eventually into July 4th. You can see July 4th, there's a whole lot of difference. I mean, you have some ensembles that take it up towards the Bahamas and some ensembles that take it into, what is that place even called? I guess we'll just call it the Southern Caribbean for now. This region right here. Let's see if it redevelops it. Not really. So there's a lot of uncertainty, like I said, beyond west of the Lesser Antilles. So that's where I would be preparing the most for potential tropical storm impacts is the Lesser Antilles into the Trinidad and Tobago area. So be ready for, again, the potential of a tropical storm. It's currently at a 40% chance to become a tropical depression and or a tropical storm in the next 7 days. So definitely a lot more of a possibility than our other, weak systems that have just kind of flopped off Africa and then dissipated in the main development region. This seems to have a bit better of a chance at becoming a tropical storm. All right, now we can go on into our potential severe weather setups real quick, just switching our gears for just a moment. So I could talk about tomorrow's enhanced risk for severe weather. Here's the future radar for that. Let's go all the way out into tomorrow. So this is at 4 o'clock. We're going to go a little bit more north. 4 o'clock Eastern time. 5 at 6 o'clock is when those storms should really begin firing. And this is where it's a question mark on the extent of semi-discrete supercells firing. If we do see semi-discrete supercells firing like that, then it could be a big issue. I'm going to zoom out a little bit for us here. So that could be a really big issue. That's why we had that enhanced risk for severe weather issues today for tomorrow, day 2 outlook. Very large hail, up to 3-inch in diameter, damaging winds potentially exceeding 80 miles per hour, and a couple tornadoes, maybe even an isolated strong tornado if we can manage to see a supercell like this fire along the South Dakota, North Dakota border. And then further to the south, out towards Nebraska, Kansas, we have some uncertainty on the extent of storm coverage out here. We really have just one storm that fires towards 8, 9 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow night, and then not much more activity north of that or south of that. So quite a bit of uncertainty, but we'll just monitor it. And I haven't checked the new NAM model. I wonder if this goes out. It sure does. This is what I'm more concerned about because the environment. Look at the environment on Friday night. A very, very, very favorable environment for strong tornadoes and all hazards out here from even southern Iowa into south central Kansas. So I'm really concerned about that. Currently, the SPC doesn't have a risk out this far to the west. So, I mean, they have like a marginal risk out here. Yeah, they have a slight risk in this area. There's a slight risk back out in like this area here. They have a slight risk for severe weather, but this area is a marginal risk as well as back up here is a marginal risk for severe weather. So there's a lot of uncertainty currently on where those storms will fire, but Friday could be a massive day for severe weather, potentially even way bigger than tomorrow. Here's the NAM3K for tomorrow's threat. You see a lot more supercells on the NAM3K model firing from South Dakota all the way through Nebraska and even into Oklahoma. So we'll just monitor that. And then a little MCS that forms towards 1 a.m. Eastern tomorrow night. So definitely a few areas to watch for tomorrow in terms of the greatest severe weather threat. But generally, we're just going to be watching all the way from southern Saskatchewan, Canada, all the way down through the northwestern portion of Oklahoma for the potential of all hazards. The main tornado threat should be very much focused on South Dakota and North Dakota for tomorrow. Alrighty. Well, that's your briefing there. We're going to go through all of this a bit more in depth and all over again once again, pretty much right now. So let's just go to our deterministic GFS model run again. If I can even find it. There we go. So here is your wind shear. Here's your wind shear. And look at that. That is actually really impressive. So you really, geez, yeah. The GFS now shows a Cat 2 hurricane with that first system. Again, the second system, look at that. The new GFS has already downtrended on that second system. But look at the lack of wind shear out in front of this. So that looks to be a bit of uncertainty if we'll have a lot of wind shear in place over the Central Caribbean towards, what is this, July 2nd. That's what could tear our system apart. But if that's a little bit weaker, this system, I mean, there's not going to be much stopping this from where it is now. From where it is now, way out here. And then eventually, once it gets east of the Lesser Antilles and southeast of the Lesser Antilles, that's when it should really start to spark up. So June 29th is where we should see a decent amount of intensification. And we should know a lot more on June 29th, which is about 3 days away, on what this system's possibly going to do. So look at that. I mean, there's barely any wind shear in this region here that's going to be able to affect that first system. My word, I had a little bit of a lag spike right in this area. Seems very favorable for tropical development. Again, uncertainty after west of the Lesser Antilles. And of course, there's systems like generally right here. So it shouldn't do much intensification right now. Should take a good 2 days before we start to see that stuff intensify. And if we look at our dry air, our relative humidity here, Wow, like no dry air is just not an issue at all. All your dry air is going to be staying back up towards that high pressure, really north of the main development region. So barely any dry air there as well. This new GFS model looks like it's about to take it right on up into the Bahamas. Where did my pin go? Why did it get so tiny? It looks like it's going to take it right up into the Bahamas and then into the very close to the eastern seaboard. See how it starts to turn last second? So I believe the biggest uncertainty is going to be that pocket of wind shear. Everything else just looks perfectly fine to me. It looks like that pocket of wind shear out in this area is going to be your biggest uncertainty. So we'll have to keep a really close eye on the model trends. Keeping an eye on that. I plan to do these tropical briefings a lot more. We're trying to shift out of that severe weather coverage phase. It's just not working too well. Our 2024 crazy season is still happening. So until severe weather eventually begins to die down, which probably won't happen until late July at this point, we're gonna have to just juggle both of these tropical stuff and our severe weather things at the same time. Let's see here. I'm going to take a quick look at the storms west of Pittsburgh. Oh, there's a new frame. I mean, that is really impressive for July. This might be a solid threat for a potential hurricane in the Eastern Caribbean and even for the Lesser Antilles as well. Again, that second season, the second system doesn't look that crazy. I think that 12Z GFS is just the 12Z being 12Z, and the GFS being the GFS here. So I don't believe that's going to be much to worry about yet. However, that could very easily change. I believe that's the system. Yeah. Yeah, hold on. I want to take a look at that. Satellite imagery in the Atlantic along the eastern portion of the Atlantic. Yeah, so there's Invest 95L, that broad area of spin moving off to the west. And this whole mess back here is our second wave, probably more confined to this area here, moving off to the west. So two different areas to watch, but that first one is definitely your primary one. That's the one you want to be watching very closely for potential hurricane impacts and or potential tropical storm impacts for the Lesser Antilles. So definitely want to be keeping a very, very close eye on that. I don't believe Connor's live today. I didn't expect him to go live. He's probably just going to skip today and go into tomorrow's severe threat. Yeah. I mean, there's really not too much to chase out there. Unless he went to, let's see, western Nebraska today. He's not going to be seeing much. Hello, Legacy. Welcome, Michael, and everyone else in here. If you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, share the stream with the family, friends, and on social media. We actually did just get a... Ooh. I forgot about this site. Hold on, y'all. I gotta try to find this site right now. This is a site I remember from last hurricane season. Let's see if I can find it. I think I have it. Yes, this is it right here. Yes, I found it. Let's go. Yay. I remembered it. I am going to save this. So here's our super ensemble plots here. This is a very, very useful site because it combines the Euro ensembles, the GFS ensembles, and the UK, I believe, ensembles all together to give you one solid run of ensemble. So you can see, again, it's still a tight spread. And we start to lose a bit of certainty towards the Lesser Antilles, but watch how bad it gets west of the Lesser Antilles. Look at this. Look at all the ensembles spreading out, and it spreads out just a bunch. So that black line right there is the ensemble median, the most likely scenario. And you can see it does indeed take it right into the Central Caribbean. And maybe that might just go into the U.S. We can't go further out than this, but I imagine this is probably just going to continue into the Yucatan Peninsula, southern Gulf of Mexico. It's also going to depend on the severe weather pattern in the U.S. next week as well, on if we see tropical impacts to the United States. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at some of our ensembles for the time frame of if we had this, if we had this thing hitting the U.S., the time frame on it would probably be, let's go check really quick. I don't want to be wrong on it, so I'm just going to check the model run. So it would be there. It would be probably around the 7th or the 8th. So that's very, very far out. And we would most likely have a good old blocking pattern in place. Let me see if the Weather Prediction Center is forecasting that blocking pattern. Let me go to the surface fronts for Wednesdays as far out as we can go. And they do have a high pressure in place at that point. So we will probably have a high pressure that's going to help block this system from hitting the U.S. We'll probably have a high pressure in place over here. That's going to be a big blocking pattern, and I believe that would probably just throw this into the Yucatan Peninsula, as well as into the southern portion of Mexico. So that's probably one of your most likely case scenarios, is this just it tracks generally along this black line here that I just drew, because you'll have a high pressure in place here, high pressure in place back here. I don't think this high pressure is going to be able to really hit it and push it up along the eastern seaboard. If it does, it's going to be later, to the point where it would push it up towards the Bahamas and then out to sea. So I believe someone's going to see impacts from this system. A couple people should see impact from this system. Possibly the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, Cuba, the Yucatan Peninsula, and then eventually into northern Mexico, southern Texas. So few areas to keep an eye on that. Again, we'll run you through this ensemble member guidance one more time just to show you a decent spread before July 2nd, and then once we hit July 2nd, as this system goes west of the Lesser Antilles, that spread begins to increase quite drastically, and then there's a lot of uncertainty. So it seems like right when this system is pretty much parallel, right around that 70-degree mark, right around here is where that uncertainty really kicks up a lot, pretty much south of Cuba, south of Puerto Rico. So we'll just continue to watch it. The closer we get, the more information we'll know. But I anticipate they're going to probably upgrade probabilities on this system, probably at the 8 o'clock advisory, honestly. And if they do that, I might just have a late video out. I might do a tropical update tonight. And let me see when the timing... Let me see when the latest I can upload that would be. Let me go over here. So if I did do a video, because I got to get a video out sometime. 7 o'clock? Yeah, the update ain't even out then. So I probably won't be doing a video, but you never know. If they upgrade it too much, then I would. Man, I mean, if I don't do a video today, I don't really know when I could do another one. It would have to be probably, like June 30th or July 1st. So I should probably at least try to get a video out tonight. I'll try. We're only 30 minutes into this briefing. Honestly, it feels a lot longer than that. It feels a lot longer than that just because we've gone through so much. Oh. Ooh. So this is each individual. Hold on, this is a wild sight. I'm gonna have to use this a lot more frequently than I do. Look, it also has a European ensembles. Oh yeah, just your casual Cat 5 in the Caribbean in July, according to the European ensemble right there. Just your normal Category 5 hurricane south of west southwest of Jamaica. That is not gonna happen. Here's the CMC. That is a lot more realistic. See how it really keeps it in that tropical storm, high in tropical storm, low in Category 1 hurricane range. That's a lot more realistic. And then you just have that one ensemble that has it potentially getting to a Cat 3 for the Lesser Antilles. I don't believe that one. So I think the most likely scenario is this thing becomes a depression right here, right where I am right now. Starts to form into a tropical storm, maybe borderline hurricane, and then begins to weaken into a tropical storm, then tropical depression, and then probably dissipates around this point, and then whatever it does from there, it probably won't really matter. I think that's really the most likely scenario, and then, like I said, it will probably go into northern Mexico, maybe southern Texas, so few different scenarios on that. It's far out. Beyond this point here, it's really just guessing what will happen beyond that point. Anything past south of Puerto Rico, this is just really all guessing. Back in this portion of our forecast, back here, that is more of, we're starting to set in stone the potential for a tropical storm there. Maybe even, like I said, a low-end Category 1 hurricane. Here's, I believe, the UK model ensembles, which those don't seem to be doing anything. Yeah, I don't really know what the UKM ensembles are. I've never heard of it, and it seems like I should probably continue to not use it. That's all your ensembles there. Look at that. So that combines all of them. What is this? What is this? Probability of what? Well, there's a number on the right side of my screen. I guess that's just how many ensembles are on board. So you can see the green track right here, where that and I guess the possibility for a depression and a tropical storm, the track of it is the most likely. And then after that, you see these light blues. That's where probability goes down a lot. I think this is the chance of the system, where the system will move. So like back out here, it's like an 80, 90% chance. And then back over in this area, it's like a 30, 40. Believe that's what it is. What's this one? Ew. Eel, but that's also pretty cool at the same time. Summary plots. What's this? I've barely used this site. I've really just remembered it today. Oh, so there's all, yeah, there's your medium. The black one's your medium ensemble. The pink one is the CMC median, and then the red one is the European median, and the green one is the GFS median. The deterministic GFS model run is the dotted green. The deterministic European model is actually not on here, and the deterministic CMC model is the dotted pink. So it seems like the deterministic GFS is the only outlier in this thing curving into the Southern Caribbean, as opposed to just staying on track towards the Yucatan. And your ensembles stop rendering here. That's where your ensembles stop. They don't go out any further than that. I mean, your GFS one does, but most of your ensembles stop around that 240 frame mark. But your GFS one would go out further than that. Ensemble means? Is that what I had before? So there's your group of ensembles between all of the main model runs there. Like I said, your GFS deterministic. See how that's the only one that splits off? That's the only one that splits off to the south. So like I said, you can see that even south of Puerto Rico, there's still a tight spread of model runs there. And then after it gets, like I said, south of Cuba, near south of Puerto Rico, that's when there's a lot of question marks after that. But yeah. What side is this? I have no idea. I have no idea, Chip. Alright, see you later, Storm Dakota. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about the tropical systems, just let me know. I'll try to answer them the best I can, as well as if it's severe weather too. I've really finished my briefing here. Ooh, I actually wanted to show you guys one last thing, or a couple last things here. Now that the invest has formed, I want to show you guys this. So this is your ensembles again. Once again, this is I believe the GEFS. Yeah, so this is your GFS ensembles. Again, pretty tight spread. Pretty tight spread until you get towards southern Cuba. If we go back, here's your GFS ensembles as well. So pretty much the same thing. And then there's your intensity guidance, which a lot of these, look at them. None of them stop in tropical storm. None of them stop in category 1. And only one ensemble or one model stops in Cat 2. The rest go into low end Cat 3 and mid tier Cat 3. Which I feel like, I really feel like all of these are overdoing the intensity. I really feel like every last one of them is overdoing intensity. I feel like every last one of those ensembles and model runs are overdoing the intensity of 95L. All right, let's go over to maybe the Weather Prediction Center. I don't really think they'll have any outlooks out for this thing. Nah. Oh my word. Look at the big day 3 flood risk. Look at the big day 3 flood risk. Level 1 threat out of 4. From the northeast all the way back down to Arizona. Look at that thing. It tracks across the entirety of the U.S. from northeast to pretty much southwest. Big day 3 marginal. Or is that day 4? Hold on. That's day 4. My bad. That's day 4. That is day 4. Come on now. It says big fat day 4 right there. I'm not that blind. Apparently I am. Okay, we do have a significant severe now in Pennsylvania for 70-mile-an-hour winds. So if you are out there south of the Pittston area, and these severes here that are highlighted in yellow and black, a lot of damage reports from these storms. So these are quite damaging storms in sense of wind speeds here. So make sure you are in your safe spot. I would say be in your safe spot if you're in these severes. Now, they're not destructive, so you don't have to go to your safe spot, but I recommend it. I highly recommend going to your safe spot because those already have a history of producing damaging winds there. So I highly recommend going to your safe spot there. You're in Potsdam. Yeah, I think I saw that area. Let me see. PA. Okay, yeah, you're not in the severe just yet. So you're okay. This stuff might actually miss you to the north. Orlando Shore. Lord have mercy. Over here. There you go. A lot of heavy rain right now. See if we got any lightning on it. We do. So a lot of heavy rain and lightning. Main precaution is just stay indoors with that. That's really it. That's about it. There's not really a crazy threat with that. Okay, let me go back over to this really quick. Shoot, what was I gonna look up? Nah, this one. So again, just make sure you're watching that tropical system for the Lesser Antilles. I'll have more updates on that after tomorrow. I'm not planning to stream tomorrow. Unfortunately, I'm gonna be pretty busy. So if I do manage to get time to stream, it'll be later tomorrow. But I don't know about that. If I do stream, the SPC said the greatest tornado threat will be between 7 o'clock and midnight Eastern. What was it? Yeah, 7 o'clock and midnight. Yeah. 7 p.m. to midnight Eastern was the greatest tornado threat tomorrow, according to the SPC. Oh, Parliament. That's back out in this area. I'll show you the risk real quick. Out in this area. Right here. So that's the north central U.S. North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Montana. Another good thing is the main risk isn't that populated, so there's not a whole lot of people at risk tomorrow. About 500,000 people in that level 3 out of 5. A little over 1.5 million in the slight. So there's not that high of a population inside the risk for tomorrow. So that's really good. If we compare that to today, 70 million people inside that level 2 threat and 43 million people inside that marginal risk. So today's a whole lot more populated of a risk. That's thanks to the East Coast. There's a bunch of population right in here. A lot of people. You can see all your main cities, Maryland, D.C., even Columbus, Ohio. I guess that's very populated too. So, yeah. That's really about it. We'll probably close out in 15 minutes. Just an ordinary briefing. What do you guys want me to do? Do you want me to wait for the new update and then post a video, or just get a video out ASAP? So I can have a video out at probably 7:30, maybe 8, or I could have a video out at like 9. Which one would y'all rather have? And I'm speaking about tonight, by the way. I'm going to have to get a video out. I got to get a video out. New video after the update, in my opinion. Sometimes they're pretty early. I mean, the 2 p.m. update was out at, what, 1:30 something? 1:34, the 2 p.m. update was out. Yeah, so typically it takes me about 45 minutes to get a video out. So if the update comes out at 7:30, which would be very lucky, but if the update did come out at 7:30, I'd have a video out probably at 8:30. But the update's probably going to be a little later than that, which is why I would say 9, which is definitely one of the later, if not the latest videos I'll have on the channel. Normally it's like 4 o'clock for my videos. Let's see here. Easier for me would just to, right after the live stream, do the video. Because then I could just get it out of the way. I don't know where the HRR is picking up on that threat tonight. Is it still showing it? Is it still showing that threat of 70 plus mile an hour winds, or is this the main event? It still has the main event like 8 o'clock tonight. I don't know really what the HRR is picking up on there. These storms look very weak in intensity to me. 19Z had that too. So 8, 9 o'clock looks to be the peak severe threat. And that would be in this area here. Peak severe threat about 8, 9 o'clock tonight. Now you guys out here, you're already peaking your severe threat. This is the line that I was debating on chasing, which, I don't know, that's way too far north. Chambersburg was the area I was planning on going to, and that area would have just got rain, and then I would have had to follow that all the way northeast, so that wouldn't have been worth it. I just realized I never had any storms fire in my area. Like, at all. Everything fired well to the north. Dang. Yet another threat that just completely and utterly misses me. Which, I guess I'm okay with that. Even though I would have liked to chase. I mean, the new update, the most they will do is upgrade the probability to 60%. I don't see them going beyond that. So, I mean, the new update, it's really just gonna, they're just gonna update the probabilities a bit. It won't be like we'll get new model runs and everything like that. Because I'm ending here in 10 minutes, 6:50, so I could try my best to get a video out at 7:30. Yeah, I'm in the general thunderstorm risk. I am. Yeah. I sure am. So we really weren't I wasn't expecting much today, but I was at least hoping for some rain in my area. So a lot of damaging winds will be the main story tonight. A brief tornado can't be ruled out. I mean, gracious, we're at 129 wind reports, and most of that is thanks to the morning MCS. We had a very significant overnight MCS here. Let me show you. So it began up in Nebraska, moved off to the south, and then on the next day, which is today, it continued moving south. You can see those extra wind reports. And then it actually intensified in terms of length quite a lot towards the end of its lifespan there. So very long tracked MCS that occurred overnight. It began yesterday in like central Nebraska, right around midnight, 1 a.m. Pretty much right after we ended the stream last night. And then it tracked all the way into west central Louisiana. I believe it began to dissipate right about like sub-severe 3-4 o'clock. It's still there though. You can see above my face cam. We still have the leftover MCS ongoing south of Lake Charles. It's still ongoing. It's just not nearly as big and as severe. But we'll be keeping an eye on it. And more importantly, if we see anything fire up back towards Pennsylvania, that's significant. Really significant, like 90-mile-an-hour winds. I'll probably go live. But I really want to get a video done. That's going to be my main thing today. Because I haven't got one out in a hot minute. Over a week now. 60% chance of rain tomorrow. I'm going to the water park tomorrow, so I don't want it to rain. Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't rain. I'll look at the some model runs for you really fast. So tomorrow's Thursday. Morning will be your biggest rain. It doesn't look that bad, honestly, Legacy. There's some brief shower potential. But I see a lot of the rain clearing out before 6 a.m. I think you'll be fine. Yeah, I really don't see much of any rain out there for you after 6. Does any model show you getting rain after 6? The GFS does have some very light showers near your area, but I doubt that would happen. The RAP model barely has any, so pretty much 4 out of the 5 main models have you getting absolutely nothing after 6. And the Euro shows pretty much nothing as well. So some very light sprinkles of rain showers is about it. But I don't think it will be anything too bad, so hopefully it'll stay all the way off to your south and clear out before 6 p.m. So unless you're going to the water park from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m., I don't think you'll see much rain out there. But, yep. Just make sure you're weather aware out here in Pennsylvania. This is your main line currently. Again, a lot of, if not all of this, is just going to be winds. If it was a more concentrated line of damaging winds, this is pretty concentrated, but it's in a radar hole, so it's very difficult to track. Then maybe I would have considered live coverage for it, but yeah, I'm gonna head off here in 6 minutes, y'all. We're about to end soon, and then I'll have a video out. I'm just gonna aim to get a video out at 8. I'm just gonna aim to have a video out at 8 because I don't want it to be too late. So I'll just note in my video that they will probably increase probabilities on the tropical system. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. I know we didn't have too many people watching today. Not compared to the other the other live stream from the other night, but I appreciate all about 500 of y'all for tuning in to today's live briefing. And yeah, thank you mods for modding in chat. It's greatly appreciated. We're gonna start ending here shortly. You're not even waking up till 9. Yeah, if it's not raining at 9 a.m., then you'll probably be clear throughout the day. On the day 3 outlook, I think they need to shift that slight risk more west. But I'll have to see what the 00Z HRRR shows. I mean, even the RAP model from the simulated reflectivity, you can tell the main threat on Friday is going to be west. Out towards Nebraska, Kansas. Not all the way into northeastern Missouri, southeastern Iowa, where they have that slight risk spreading so far eastward. So, yeah, a bit of a flash warning in the background whilst we end this live stream. I'm going to end that poll here in a couple seconds. So if y'all didn't vote on that, you can go ahead and vote on that. But thank you guys for tuning into this live weather briefing. We still have a lot of severes happening. 5 of them are significant. 6 of them are significant. All of them are for wind. Actually, the one in Idaho is for hail. So 5 are for wind. The 6th one is for hail. So a lot of winds, a lot of damaging winds today, but shouldn't be much of, if any, of a tornado threat. So I'm not really worried about the tornado activity today anywhere in the U.S. So yeah, make sure you guys are staying weather aware if you're inside those watches and inside the slight risks for severe weather. And I will have a video out probably around 8 o'clock. I'll aim to get it out at 8. That's going to be the goal, 8 o'clock Eastern. So about an hour from now, I'll aim to have a video out about that tropical system. Pretty much just a very brief version of the live stream that you've watched here right now. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. Thank you mods for modding the chat. I may not see you guys tomorrow, but I will see you guys Friday. So have a great rest of your night. Stay safe. Watch severe weather and the tropics. And again, thank you mods for modding chat. Goodbye. stay safe, watch severe weather in the tropics, and I'll see you guys in another live stream. Have a great rest of your night. Good.